Kia ora everyone, and welcome to our virtual event. It is fantastic to have you joining us from your homes for this special date night where we're going to be talking about building a love that lasts. My name is Sam Brebner and I'm your MC for this evening. And just this week, my wife and I celebrated our second wedding anniversary. So we are excited. We're hoping to learn a lot tonight, and I suspect many of the couples tuning in tonight, could teach us a thing or two as well. For those who are joining us tonight, we would love to meet you, would love to know who you are. So in the chat box, which should be directly to the right of the screen here, please do say hello. Let us know who you are and let us know where you are joining us from. We'd love to know who is joining us this evening. While you're doing that, I just want to say a quick thank you to the Catholic Diocese of Hamilton for hosting this event and for making it possible. Thank you also to the Catholic Network of Marriage Educators who support marriages across Aotearoa through marriage preparation courses, marriage enrichment events, as well as networking and support for all of those who facilitate courses with hundreds of couples across the country. Thank you so much for the great work that you do and for making this event happen. I'm certainly excited for it. Before we can kick off, we do just have a special message from the chaplain of the Catholic Network of Marriage Educators, Monsignor Bernard Kiley, and a quick shout out from some Catholic celebrities that you might know, Tim Wilson and Catholic Kiwi band The Sations. So over to them.
Kia ora koutou katoa. Today we celebrate World Marriage Day, mindful that tomorrow the secular side of the world is celebrating St. Valentine's Day. As Christians, we really value the vocation of marriage. We are mindful of the couples that have had a really wonderful influence on our own lives, and in a particular way, pray for couples today. For those of you preparing for marriage, may it be a blessed journey. God bless us all today as a church.
Happy World Marriage Day! We give thanks for the vocation of marriage, and we pray for you. If you are married, we ask the Lord to bless your marriage, and we also give thanks, all of us, for those couples, those married couples who have inspired us to pursue that vocation. God bless you.
Fantastic. Monsignor Bernard has actually been the CNME chaplain for over 20 years supporting couples. So thank you, Monsignor, and great to hear from you this evening. In a moment, I'm excited to introduce you to our guest speakers for this evening. But before we do anything else, let's begin our evening in prayer. So I just invite you all to join me. Ki te ingoa o te matua, o te tamaiti, o te wairua tapu. Amen. Heavenly Father, thank you for the gift of marriage. Thank you for the opportunity to come together tonight, to invest and to sow into our marriages and to learn more, Lord. I pray that you would help us to enter into this evening with joy and with humility and above all with love and with hope for our marriages. Thank you that Megan and Nahum are able to join us tonight. Thank you for all the work that has gone into this event and all of the people that have been behind the scenes and are behind the scenes right now making it happen. I just pray for a special outpouring of your grace on everyone who is attending, Lord, that you would bless us and you would bless our marriages. And we also take a moment to invite the intercession of Mary, who is not only the mother of our Lord, but also a wife. So we ask for her intercession as we pray together. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. And Saint Joseph, pray for us. Ki te ingoa o te matua, o te tamaiti, o te wairua tapu. Amen. All right, I am excited to introduce you to Megan and Naim Kozak. When they begin their presentation, just to let you know, you can minimize that chat box that's on the right-hand side of the screen. And also, if you look down into the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, you should be able to see a little icon that is going to enable you to full screen their presentation. So if you're wanting to do that, please do. After the presentation, we're going to have some time for Q&A. So if you've got a question, please do chuck that into the chat box at any time during the presentation. Or if you'd like to remain anonymous, you can submit your question by emailing it to events@cdh.org.nz. That's events@cdh.org.nz. But without further ado, by any definition, Megan and Naim are a power couple. Megan is an accredited relationship counsellor who specialises in both Gottman method couples therapy and the prepare enrich approach. Her articles on relationship well-being have been widely published, and she frequently features as a relationship expert on radio and on podcasts. Not to be outdone, her husband Naim is a registered psychologist with over a decade of experience. He also specializes in the Gottman method of couples therapy. He has appeared regularly as a relationship expert on ABC Radio Brisbane and 7 News, and has co-authored a paper in the International Journal of Social Psychiatry. Together, they are the founders of Lighthouse Relationships, which provides psychology and counselling with a special focus on couples therapy. And it is our pleasure to have them with us tonight. So Megan and Naim, I'll hand over to you, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. What an intro. Thanks so much, Sam. It's a delight to be here.
Absolutely. Kia ora, everyone. As Sam said, my name's Naim. For those of you who need a hand with that, it rhymes with Graham. So you go Graham, Naim, and then you'll get it. And as Sam said, I'm a psychologist. I'm one of the co-founders of Lighthouse Relationships, where we work with couples across Australia and New Zealand predominantly.
Yeah, and I am Megan, and I am a relationship educator and a couples therapist through the Gottman method, and also lucky enough to be married to this very handsome gentleman over here on my left, which is a delight. And we thought it might be good for you to know just a little bit about us. So you've heard some of our qualifications and what we do, but just to tell you a bit about who we are as people. So I thought I'd tell you just a tiny version of how we met. So we met 21 years ago. And to be perfectly honest, I hired him, which, look, it sounds worse than it is, okay? So I was 16 at the time, and our parish was wanting to hire a youth coordinator, and I was plucked out of obscurity in the pews to be like the token youth on the panel of people to choose who this person was going to be. And there were 5 of us on this panel, and we were down to 2 applicants. And 2 people on the panel wanted this other person, 2 people wanted Naim, and it came down to me as the deciding vote. And I remember the priest coming over to me, this lovely priest called Father Ron, and he said, well, Megan, you're the youth. Who do you think you'd like? And I said, look, I don't know what it is, but I think maybe Naim's the one. And I had no idea how true that was going to be. It was just amazing. So 21 years later, we've been together for 17 years, married for 12, and we have 2 hilarious, adventurous little daughters who keep us moving at the speed of light, it feels like. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, after that job interview, my first question was, who was that girl who was 6 foot tall and dazzlingly gorgeous? I didn't ask about the conditions and pay and everything, but anyway. So Megan came up with the name Lighthouse Relationships, and it's just been more and more apt over time. So our relationships are like a lighthouse for one another, a place of protection, a safe haven, a place of warmth, a place of light and direction. And like a lighthouse, like we build a relationship just one small moment at a time, one brick at a time, gradually. And we keep on building that place over time for ourselves, for our kids, and to shine a light for other people in our lives as well. As Sam already alluded to, tonight we're talking about building a love that lasts. And appropriately on World Marriage Day, but before Valentine's Day. So grab your champagne if you've got it, and snuggle up ready for this.
Yeah, absolutely. We're really excited to be sharing it with you. Now, we are really aware, we've been having a little peek at the chat, and oh my goodness, we have got people here with some exceptional experience. So shout out to Raywin and Jared, 53 years. Oh my goodness, there's so much we have to learn from you. Where else? There was someone who was 61 years.
It was Brian and Barbara.
Oh my gosh. Hello, how delightful to have you here. Now, we hope that regardless of where you are, whether you're one of these beautiful people who've logged on and said, we're getting married in May, it's nearly there, or whether you are 6 decades into your journey together, we hope that there is something that we can give you tonight. And so we thought we'd start by just explaining a little bit around where this comes from. So when we have a look at the different phases of a relationship, we have a look at some really fantastic research. And there's a particular researcher called Michael Gurian, and he's come up with these 3 phases of a relationship. And it's been supported by Doctors John and Julie Gottman in their research, their longitudinal studies over 40 years. And what they've found out is that there are 3 core stages. There's this first stage, which lasts for about 18 months to 2 years. So some of our participants might be right in there right now. And this phase is called limerence. It even sounds beautiful to say. It's like this falling in love phase. It's this phase where you've got rose-colored glasses on, where it's just so exciting. Everything's wonderful. You get butterflies. You're a bit obsessed. You just want to be with this person. If there's socks on the ground, it doesn't matter because they're their socks and they're just so wonderful. You know, it's really delightful. After we get through that first kind of 2 years or so, the glasses tend to come off just a little bit. And we move into this new phase, which is called trust. And we get into this phase then, which normally lasts, gosh, at least a decade or so, anywhere between 7 and 12 years. And this phase here comes after you've gone through some challenging experiences together. So it might have been the birth of a child. It might have been moving house or changing jobs. It might have been the loss of a loved one. Something happens in this space that allows you to know, I can really rely on this person. When times get hard, my partner are going to be there. This person is going to be there for me. And so we move into this beautiful trust phase. So we get a little irritated with the socks on the ground, but we know that our partner is there for us. So it's a real gift. And then this third stage, which is where some of our amazing couples are in right now, is called commitment. And this is really a legacy leaving now. This is, you have built a life together. And what is it that you're leaving for the people that you most love? So wherever you are in those phases, welcome. We hope that there is something that we can really offer you this evening.
Absolutely. So we're going to start with friendship. A strong friendship, the science shows us, and you know from your own experience, a strong friendship is the basis of a strong relationship. So really appropriately, we've got friendship down in the bottom part of that lighthouse there, where the foundations are. Now, there are 3 parts that make up a friendship, if you break it down and have a close look at it. The first part is feeling known, or knowing your partner. There being a great deal that you know and understand about one another. And we've got a mobile there with the maps function on, because it's like we develop this map of our partner in our brains, and we know their likes, their dislikes, their hopes, their pet peeves, their dreams, their shoe size. And there's just so much to discover about our partners. And we do this really well in the early stages of a relationship. But it can be a challenge later on when we feel like, well, I already know everything about this person. The challenge is to keep on asking questions and keep on exploring, because people keep growing over time. And of course, there's the risk of growing apart if we don't continue to grow in that area. So you've got to know someone in order to love them, basically. Now, while we're talking about maps, we have a highway not too far from us that goes up the Sunshine Coast, and a section of highway got diverted. They changed the direction of the highway. But my Google Maps did not change on my phone, and continually Google wanted me to drive straight into where now there was a concrete barrier. So this is the risk with not updating our maps of our partner as well. Like, we might finally run into spots, oh my gosh, hang on, things were always this way, but I didn't keep my finger on the pulse and I didn't keep on knowing you. So that's the first part, really, of friendship, is being known. It's not really enough just to be known, is it? Like,
No, it's nice. It's good.
Yeah.
But then you've really got to feel like your partner not only knows you, but they love you. They appreciate you. They do something with that knowledge of knowing you.
Yeah, you've got to have some warmth with it. And so appreciation, and especially expressing appreciation and showing appreciation for one another is a second part of friendship. So showing love, showing respect, showing admiration, saying thanks. I think Megan came across a study where they predicted how long a relationship lasted simply by looking at the number of times people said thank you to one another. And it was a really good predictor of the longevity of the relationship. We don't want to be like there's a joke, something about like the old farmer who loved his wife so much that one day he nearly told her. We don't want it to be like that. We want to have an ongoing kind of expression of warmth and appreciation that goes into building a good friendship. Third part is being responsive. We need to pick up on what our partner puts out there. And this is actually bigger than the other two. This has a stronger impact on relationship than the other two. If we're responsive to what the person puts out there, if they say, "How was your day?" Tell them how your day was and ask them how theirs was. If they say, "Oh, look, there's a bird," you look and you go, "Oh yeah, that's right. That's like the one that was there last week." So it's kind of like in a relationship, we're building little moments. We're continually putting a bid out there. It's like half of a high five. The other person's coming and meeting that high five. And if you drop that bid, if you put, you go, "Oh, hey, look, there's a bird out there." And the other person goes, or whatever, doesn't respond at all, then you're left hanging. And that's not a pleasant feeling. You can do that up to 20 or 30% of the time and it doesn't matter, because sometimes we genuinely don't hear. But if it's a larger amount of the time, then it can become problematic. And there was a study of, it was based around newlyweds. They measured how much they responded to each other. So someone putting something out there, like a wink, a nudge, a kiss, a hello, whatever it might be. And they came back 6 years later and saw who was still together. Couples who were very responsive. So 86% of the time they picked up on what the person was putting out there. They were the ones who were still together and really liking each other. The ones who had separated or divorced, they had been responsive about 30% of the time, 33%. They had dropped a whole lot of bids. They hadn't really seen each other.
Yeah. It's amazing how it's the little things that add up. They didn't measure the number of amazing weekends away they had. They didn't measure the number of diamonds that were bought for each other. They measured how often they turned towards each other with a simple thing, I want to listen, tell me more, or a kiss or a touch. It's all of those little things that add up and make such a difference.
Absolutely. We've got a bit of a story, I think.
Yeah.
I started learning about couples and working with couples about 14 years ago when I was doing my psychology internship at Centrecare Family and Community Services here in Brisbane. And I had this amazing mentor teaching me about the work we were doing with pre-marriage couples. Jennifer Mason. Hello, Jennifer, if you're out there. Thank you for changing my life. And she had this wonderful story that she shared about feeling known and responded to, where she loved coffee, and her partner every morning, she would just tell this story. Like, she'd step out of the shower and her partner would have a steaming hot cup of coffee right there for her. And they were extremely busy. They had 4 kids. They were both working. And this was just a little symbol of, "I'm thinking of you. I love you. I know this is what you want." So I thought, I'm going to do something really similar. I know Megan likes tea. So we got married. Every morning, I make a cup of tea. She comes out of the shower, and there is the tea, a sign of my love, our newlywed love for Megan, just expressing how much I know her, how much I appreciate her, and how responsive I am to her.
And there's a collective that happens all across New Zealand at this stage, right? It's so beautiful. And it is. And do you know what? To be honest, for the first 3, 4, even 7, 8 days, right? I did that too. I was like, "Oh, that's really sweet. That's really kind. I can see what he's doing there. I can see where he's it was going with that, which is lovely. Here's the thing, my mornings are a little frantic, right? So I'm up, I'm in the shower, I'm like blow drying my hair, I'm putting on my makeup, I'm packing my bag, and I'm trying to have breakfast, smoothie or a piece of toast or something in my mouth as I bolt out the door at about 7:15 in the morning. And there is my lovely new husband giving me a piping hot cup of tea, just waiting for me to sip it. And to be honest, on a good day, it takes me about 15 minutes to get my way through a cup of tea. So as I'd come out of the shower and see this obligatory tea sitting there waiting for me as I started my day.
But you have to drink it or you don't love me.
It was guilt tea. That's what it was. It was guilty. And so
yes.
I would be standing there going, and so for the first couple of days, I really did accept all the love. I was like, oh, thank you. That's so kind. That's so nice. After I got through the first week or so, it was a bit of a sip, sip, tip kind of a situation. And thank you. So nice. Sip, sip. See you later. I've got to get going, and I didn't tell him. No, I absolutely didn't tell him because I thought he's there trying to love me. How graciousless am I? Now, it took me an embarrassingly long amount of time to talk about this with Nahum. Like, we're not talking days or weeks, we're talking months here. So possibly around the 4 to 6 month situation of me slowly tipping tea down the sink while I built up a level of resentment every morning until I said, okay, honey, we got to talk about the tea. We got to talk about this tea. This is not working for me. Can I accept the love and not the tea? And it was terrifying. It was so scary to do because we don't see those kind of conversations broadcast for us on movies. We just see how lovely it is to be loved and, you just accept it. And I was like, oh, this is going to be a tricky one. Yeah, so it was a bit of a tricky process. And he was like, oh, well, if that doesn't make you feel loved, what does? And it took me a minute. I had to kind of stop and really think it through. And I went, well, actually, something that makes me feel really loved is when you whisper in my ear. I don't even know why. It's delightful. It's intimate. It's something that only you and I can hear. It gives me goosebumps. Like, I have goosebumps as I'm talking about it now, even as well. Like, it just delights me. I feel like it's just this beautiful little gift between us. And you know what? It doesn't even matter what you say. It's just this delightful little moment for the two of us. And it was just so lovely to identify it and to share it. And for the last, 12 years, Nahum has found some reason almost every day to whisper in my ear. And life's busy. We've got 2 little girls. We run a business. We got stuff to do. So honestly, sometimes it's, hey, honey, I'm putting out the garbage. And it's delightful.
She likes it still.
Oh, my gosh, it cracks me up. Because I feel so known. Our friendship system, that base, I feel so known and so loved.
All that time I was wasting minutes boiling the kettle, putting the tea bag in. I was add that up over like the last bunch of years and how much time I would have wasted doing something that now you would be resenting me for.
Tell you what, yeah.
And we're sharing a pretty lighthearted story, but we work with couples who at times don't feel brave enough to be able to say, you have been giving me this thing for the last 20 years and I need to tell you I don't like that.
Yeah. There's a beautiful couple that I know very well. Hi, Mum and Dad, if you're listening.
You dogged them in.
I totally dogged them in. Where my mum has been buying my dad candied eggs every day for the last 44 years. Every Easter. So not every day. Yeah. Every Easter. That would have been a lot. Every Easter. He hates them, can't stand them. Every Easter they come through and he goes, oh, okay. And he smiles and he works his way through this candied egg. And, there's a bit of a joke about it sometimes, but my mum kind of goes, oh, no, he loves them really. And I just think, oh, my goodness, that's 4 decades of candied eggs that really could have gone to better use. Don't
eat candied eggs that you don't want for 4 decades.
Talk about the tea, let go of the candied eggs.
Yeah.
Now, how do you do it though?
Should we say this is the cone of silence also we're not going to share this with me?
Don't tell my mum and dad.
Okay, good, right. Yeah.
Now, there's this great little activity that we do with couples all the time. So in order to do this, it can be tricky to have those conversations sometimes. So we frame it in a really simple way. And it's a 4-word sentence starter. It's, I feel loved when. That's it. How simple is that? I feel loved when. So you can write this down on a piece of paper. You can put it in your phone. You can write it on the back of a napkin when you're having a beer together. Wherever you are, you write those 4 little words and then you number down 5 things. And you think to yourself, okay, what are 5 things that my partner does that makes me feel really loved or valued or appreciated? Now, the simpler, the better. This is not really a I feel loved when he buys me diamonds kind of a situation. This is the simple things that happen every day. What are those things? And then when you share that with your partner, there's this gift of them knowing the things that really connect with you. And also, it becomes a cheat sheet for your partner. So when you're going through this little situation where you're feeling a bit disconnected, you've got 5 go-to things that you can do straight away to show them, I know you, and today I am choosing to love you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I used this with the couple on Friday, actually. This was a whole session, and they'd been together for 15 years and they discovered things that they hadn't found out in that time. It was really useful.
Amazing.
Now, that's the first part of the Lighthouse relationship model we're going to talk about, building a friendship. The next part's communication. We've got a video about that. It's an oldie but a goodie. Enjoy.
It's just, there's all this pressure, you know? And sometimes it feels like it's right up on me and I can just feel it, like literally feel it in my head, and it's relentless. And I don't know if it's going to stop. I mean, that's the thing that scares me the most, is that I don't know if it's ever going to stop.
Yeah. Well, you do have a nail in your head.
It is not about the nail.
Are you sure? Because, I mean, I'll bet if we got that out of there...
Stop trying to fix it.
No, I'm not trying to fix it. I'm just pointing out that maybe the nail is causing...
You always do this. You always try to fix things when what I really need is for you to just listen.
Yeah, see, I don't think that is what you need. I think what you need is to get the nail
See,
out.
you're not even listening now.
Okay, fine. I will listen. Fine.
It's just... Sometimes it's like there's this achy... I don't know what it is. And I'm not sleeping very well at all. And all my sweaters are snagged. I mean, all of them.
Yeah, that sounds really hard.
It is. Thank you. Ow!
Oh, come on. If you would just...
Don't...
Try to see things my way.
So good. So good. It's a classic, right? Oh my goodness. The number of times people come into our office and the first thing they say is, we have conflict. You know, we need help with communication or with conflict. And the conversations that they start to have look just like that one. I mean, there may not be a physical nail, but there might as well be. My goodness, the way that they talks around in circles in that way can be a real challenge. And there's this sense that we have that conflict is always bad, that it needs to be avoided at all costs, because in happily ever after, there is never any conflict. We always agree, we share the same opinions, and we just skip off into the sunset. And of course, that's actually not the case in real life. Conflict is incredibly important and incredibly valuable if it's done in a way that is respectful and kind and loving. Then it can be something that actually builds a couple further along in their journey and makes them closer. Now, there's this fantastic research that's been done that I mentioned earlier by the Gottman Institute. So over the past 40 years, they've been researching and doing a whole variety of different amazing studies. One of the evidence-based pieces that's come out of this is this ratio of 5-to-1. So in a healthy couple, what they call a master couple, they've got masters and disasters. As a master couple, a healthy couple has got a ratio of 5 positive interactions to 1 negative or challenging interaction. Now, this doesn't mean you say 5 nice things and then you launch into them with something hideous. It means that over time, there is this little ratio that happens where there's a positive inside joke, where there's a kiss, there's a touch, there's a word of affirmation. And so over time, that builds up our emotional bank account with our partner, so that when it comes time to having a difficult conversation, we've got something to draw from. So that one is actually in a place of real safety, because we know this person is here for us and that it's actually all going to be okay. We just have to do it without criticism, without defensiveness, without being contemptuous, and without putting up a big stone wall between us when that happens. It can be really hard to know how to do that. And I remember early in our relationship, I was really quite scared of it. It was not something that was practiced really well in the family I grew up in. So, you know, having difficult conversations where people express their feelings was a really new thing for me. And so we had to kind of come up with a bit of a common language around it so that we both felt really safe in knowing that when we brought something up, it wasn't an attack. It wasn't blaming or demanding. It wasn't a rejection. It was actually here for us because we wanted us to be really strong. And so we found this beautiful scripture. It's from Song of Songs. It's 2:15, Song of Song. And it goes, catch all the foxes, those little foxes, before they ruin the vineyard of love. Isn't that gorgeous? And that just struck a chord because that's exactly what we do with that one. In that ratio, when it's time to talk about that one, that challenging thing, we catch the fox. We catch that little thing that might get in the way, the thing that we would otherwise bury under the carpet. We catch it so that it doesn't spoil this beautiful vineyard of love. It's really important. So when it's time for us to have one of those conversations, we remind ourselves, we're like, do you know what? We're about due for a one. And one of us will say, hey, honey, can I catch a fox with you? And by saying that, both of us are there ready to go, oh, this is for us. Yes, please, let's talk it through. Let's figure this out.
Absolutely. Can I catch a fox with you? Is like, all right, listen, this is important. They're about to be vulnerable and I want to really catch it and understand it. This is not flippant. This is important. Got just fleshing out that 5-to-1 ratio a little bit. Got a picture of a yacht there, and you can see that there's the part above the water and the part below the water. Now, counting the sail that I cleverly didn't put in this picture, there's a lot more above the water. There's a lot more that's kind of positive going on. The wind gets caught in the sails, the boat helps with flotation, all that kind of stuff, the body of the boat, the hull, whatever. But the whole thing will fall over if it's not weighed down and kind of given balance and direction by that keel. And, you know, there can be concrete in that keel. It's absolutely necessary. So far from being something to be avoided, conflict is something that is really useful and helpful to give us ballast, to give us direction, to give us truthfulness and honesty in our dealings with each other.
Absolutely. And Brené Brown, who's one of my favorite researchers at the moment, love some of her work that's coming out. She has this little phrase, which is clear is kind. And I love it. I use it with my couples all the time when we're in session. So it's okay to say how you feel and it's okay to say what you need because clear is actually kind. It's so much easier to know where we stand rather than trying to just figure it out without anybody speaking what it is that they actually need or feel. And it can be tricky because sometimes we can come into a relationship, into just life, you know, with this preconceived idea that some emotions are good and some emotions are bad, and that we need to avoid any emotions like anger, or feeling upset or worried or anxious. When in fact, all relationships need those emotions. All of those emotions are actually really valuable because they're like a compass. They point towards a need that either is or isn't being met. So that's really brilliant. If you notice that you're feeling upset or worried or angry or frustrated, don't squash it down. Notice it. Don't yell about it, but notice it and go, oh, okay, what is it? What need is there that's not being met right now that I need to talk to my partner about? How can we figure this out together?
Absolutely. Emotions are a really, really good source of information. There's nothing like sharing what emotion you're feeling to help your partner see inside your head, to see inside where you're at. And as Megan said, it's not about blame. So not using criticism, which is really like attacking the person. You know, you're so lazy, you never blah, blah, blah. Or you're always saying that. These things are really kind of starting to attack the person. You want to instead be really specific on the thing. Like, hey, I'm feeling really upset about, or I'm feeling really, whatever the emotion is that's going on. So criticism and a few other ways of talking are actually the most toxic things for communication and shut people down. Criticism, defensiveness. So if someone brings something to you that's a complaint, it's important to be able to share those complaints with each other. That's the one. That's the keel. That's really important to a relationship. If we respond with defensiveness, like, someone says, you never take the rubbish out, you're so selfish, leaving aside that that's critical. If the other person says, what are you talking about? I took it out yesterday and the day before and the whole year before that, you're getting really lost, and you're building, like, a shield is a form of defense, and you're building up a wall between the two of you. So defensiveness, we want to leave it out. We want to instead listen to the partner's message. Contempt is that really insidious thing where you start to belittle your partner's emotions, you start to belittle where they're coming from. We might think your way is better. And the last thing that can be really toxic is putting up a wall, stonewalling. It's just opting out of the conversation altogether. Now, sometimes we need a break, but we do need to come back to it. We can't just leave it as a stone wall.
Absolutely. It can be really tricky to know how to do this, and so we've had to create this little shared language around catching foxes. But even then, it took a bit of courage to come forward and say, build up all of the courage I had inside of me, get ready and go, hey, honey, I want to catch a fox with you. It was really new and different and challenging to do. And Nahum did one of the most beautiful things for me. He just sat down in front of me and he just opened his palms up as if he was there ready to catch whatever it was I had to say. He wasn't going to tell me I was silly for saying it. He wasn't going to make me feel, stupid or crazy or dumb or worried. Like, none of that was going to be there. He wasn't going to get defensive or stomp out of the room. He just wanted to hear it, and he wanted to catch it for me. He wanted to hold it for me. And it was just the most beautiful way of feeling loved in that moment. It just made me feel so safe and able to share that with him. It's a real skill to do that. And sometimes we don't necessarily have the right tools for the job.
Yeah, we assume we have the skills to resolve conflict. We're like, I can speak English. I know how to have a debate. But like a debate or our legal system or, the way our parliament's set up, it's all oppositional. And we can't run a relationship like that. We really do need to be on the same team and really catching our partner's perspective, giving them a soft place to land, allowing what they're saying to be heard. And the way that they know it's heard is if we reflect it back to them. If I can give the meaning of what was said back to my partner, then she's heard. And then you switch over and take turns, and you can both be heard.
Yeah, it's incredibly important. So we do this little activity with couples often. It's one of the ones we tend to start with, because often couples come in and there's just so much that's been left there. Because we look at the research, an average couple waits 6 years to seek help, which is unbelievable. Such a long amount of time. So by the time they come into work with us, there's a lot of water under the bridge. And so we teach them this skill just to begin with, right? And it's really simple. We take out those 4 toxic kind of communications that Nahum was talking about: criticism, defensiveness, contempt, and stonewalling. And then what we're left with is how you feel and what you need. And that's actually the core thing that we're trying to get to. So if there's a problem, the way we try to frame it is, when this happens, I feel, so I need. It's as simple as that. So instead of coming in and being like, oh my God, you left the kitchen a mess again. You're so lazy. I asked you so many times and I can't believe you can't do that. Oh, every time, all the time, you never do it. And I hate it. And I hate you. All of the things that could come out that we've seen. Far more colorful language than that in our office, but we see it all. Instead of saying that, if we were to frame that as, hey, honey, I need to catch a fox with you, so that he's ready to go. He knows something's coming, right? Palms are open and ready to receive. And then to say, when you tell me that you're going to clean the kitchen, and then I get home from work and it's still such a mess, I feel so stressed out because I feel like there's just so much chaos in our life already. I really need home to be a bit of a haven. So I need you to do what you say you're going to do, so I can just come home to a space that is clean and I can feel a bit less stressed out. Does that make sense to you?
Megan's done a beautiful job of putting her position out there. She's put out the first part of the high five. I need to do the other half for it to be successful communication. And I don't do that by saying, I understand. because that's yet to be established. Maybe I don't understand. Maybe I don't get it. I don't do it by putting my position forward, like, oh, but I had so many things today and I couldn't get to it and da 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 da. First thing I do is catch it. I do the other half of listening, and I'm like, hang on, let me just check I've got that right. So when I didn't do the kitchen today, after I said I was going to do it this morning, you felt really let down and disappointed, and kind of it added to the general chaos that you're feeling, and that wasn't good for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I felt really stressed. That's it. And there's this moment that happens, right? And we see this with couples all the time. There's a moment, there's such a shift. Instead of the listener saying, oh, yeah, I get it. I totally understand. And we don't know if actually they have. If instead they paraphrase back what they've heard, if they re-say it back to the person who said it, the speaker just goes, oh my gosh, that's it. Yes, you've got it. You heard me. And it's like this weight is lifted off. Then they can turn it around. He can explain, she can paraphrase back, they can solve the problem. But to start with, it's just that being heard that makes all the difference.
Absolutely. It's just like on that, it's not about the nail. Like, what I really need is just for you to listen.
Just listen. Then we'll solve the problem. Absolutely. All right, our third little piece here.
That's right. Sorry. So this third part, this third section, it follows on beautifully from communication, is vision. Now, we've placed vision right at the top of the lighthouse. It's a place that you're able to see everything clearly, not just what's right in front of you, but well into the distance. So, so that it can shine a light for you and for others, and you know where you're at. You're not feeling lost. So conflict happens, like when communication is done poorly, and it's like this. We talk in circles, nothing gets out. It's just each person saying their side, no one's listening, no one's hearing. But these fists are only fists, like, because there's something good in there. There's a dream that each person has, or a hope that each person has, that needs to be heard. So we give a place, good communication for both of those dreams to be heard and looked at and understood. We don't try to problem solve too quickly. We try to really listen and understand each other. And then at least we can approach this as a team. And now that when both of those dreams are out, we need to figure out, how do we give a nod to both of those things? How do we at least get part of what each person needs?
And you can see we've popped on the screen here this universal symbol of commitment, these two overlapping rings. And both of them are whole on their own. This is not like the little friendship bracelets that you get when you're in grade 6, where it's like two parts of a little heart and they're broken when they're not together, This is not that kind of a situation. This is not a Jerry Maguire, you complete me kind of a moment. Yeah, Tom's got a lot to answer for there. This is, I am a whole person. I bring my whole self, my complete self to you. You are a whole person and you bring your whole complete self to me. And it is a gift that is offered in this space. These two overlapping rings are two wholes that choose to create this beautiful space together. So it's handy. It looks like a little Venn diagram right there too. This little middle space there, this sacred space for the two of us, this is what we each bring. And so we each need to be filled up with our own dreams, our own needs, our own desires, so that we can create a vision together for what we want, for our partnership, for our kids, our family, for anything else around there. So it's a really beautiful kind of an image to use and to play with. And in those overlapping rings, in that area that is mine or that area that is yours, the dreams don't need to be complex. They don't need to be a 50-year dream to create something extraordinary in a foreign country and change the world. The dream might be really simple, and it might be really soon. It might be about, you've got a dream about fitness this year, beautiful, love it, fantastic. There's lots of little dreams that we can have, which might be around intimacy, free time, friends, family, like a financial goal, work, flexibility around work, fun, date nights. There's so many things that can kind of fall into this visioning area where we get to be really intentional about what it is we want to do.
Absolutely. I love how you say, bring our whole selves to the relationship. This is the relationship, like a marriage is the place where you can be completely naked with each other. And physical nakedness is just a small proportion of that. Someone who can see you entirely and still love you. That's the amazing gift of marriage. Absolutely. Now, dreams can be big or small. It tends to be the day-to-day small ones that can often be really important. the relationship. Now, I had some feedback a few years ago from a New Zealander, a lovely person who was on a net team that I was on. So this Catholic youth ministry, we were running retreats, etc. And basically, for a year, you're really up in each other's grill. You really spend a lot of time with each other. Anyway. I am an extrovert. I like to spend time with people. I like to talk a lot. I like to listen a lot. And I like to spend a lot of time in people's presence. Megan is an introvert. She loves people.
Yeah, I love doing stuff like this. This is great. I love people and connecting, but I actually really need quiet time to get filled up again so that I have something to give.
In order to recharge,
Yeah.
absolutely. And now this feedback that I had from a New Zealander member of my team, hi Joe, if you're listening, love you. You've also changed my life. She said, Nahum, she sat me down, had a talk. She's like, Nahum, you're like an enthusiastic puppy dog. You're always there. You want to talk. You're always happy to see me. But you don't know that you're trampling all over the garden that I've just planted. I need some time, like just quiet without you. And she's like, I can't get mad at you because who gets mad at a puppy dog? They're adorable. And anyway, I was like, I got it. It was really good feedback. So I took that into our marriage, and I noticed at some point, I already knew that Megan had a different level of stimulation that she would have in her ideal world. I noticed she started to get antsy, and I'm like, honey, I thought I'll just check it out. Is it needing to have not me there? It's like, is the best gift I can give you right now the gift of my absence? And she's like, yes. Yes, that's exactly what I need. Yes. Please go away. That would be wonderful.
And it doesn't mean I don't love you. It doesn't mean I don't think you're handsome and wonderful and delightful and funny and joyful and great. It just means, actually my needs are a little different to yours. And at the moment, I need some time alone, not just from you, from anybody. So thank you for the gift of your absence.
And figuring out that bit of vision, like that bit of her vision that would bless her, was so amazing. Like I didn't need to become frustrated or feel rejected. In fact, I could skip happily away and go and cut up some camembert and put it on crackers and slide it under the door to her and know that I could come back in an hour or so and she'd be ready to have a great conversation and have some fun.
Absolutely. So we do this now intentionally every year. So we start the year, we find sometime in January, we head off just for an afternoon. It doesn't even take that long, just a couple of hours. We go and grab a coffee or like a sneaky wine somewhere. We take our journals and we just start to write. We kind of dream our own dreams for the year ahead about the things that we hope for, the things that we need, the things that we desire and wish and want. And then we bring them back together again and share that with our partner. So we kind of just let each other know, well, actually, I want fitness, fun, friends. This is my financial goal. This is what I want to do for work. This is my hope for our business. This is what I want to do for our girls. One of our dreams is to have a family fun day every Sunday. And we decided we'd start by climbing a mountain, and it was an absolute lead balloon fail.
Yeah, we wanted that. But turns out our girls were not very keen.
Sometimes you got to course correct those dreams.
Yep.
And that's okay. But in doing that, in being intentional, I know that Nahum has got this fitness dream so that when he goes on a Thursday morning to a PT, I can just cheer him on happily from bed and say, yes, good job. I'll take care of the girls. You go, because I can support his dream. I know that's part of what he needs. And so we're able to do that. We're also then able to shape that center part, that sacred part in the middle of those two overlapping rings, which is the dream for us. There's the you, the me, and then the we. And for us, we then have dreams for our children and dreams for us and how often we want to have a date night together.
Absolutely.
And the dreams we have for our business, all of the things that we're going to work towards as a team can be in that space too. So that we're not just wandering down a path to see where it's going to go. Of course, we're listening to the promptings of the Holy Spirit on the way. But we're, from what we know that God is calling us to, we're walking in this direction together. And that's so valuable because it's just so often that we have couples come into our office who say, we just kind of feel like we lost each other on the way. We feel like we're flatmates who happen to share kids. We feel like we've just grown apart. And so we've got to go back to starting to be really intentional about, okay, what is your dream? What is our dream? And how do we walk that together?
Absolutely. I think we're coming towards the end of our time, but kind of let's have a quick look at where we've been today, because you've come along with us on a long journey. Thank you so much for that, and we fully respect that. We're in the company of people who really value marriage, who really value relationship, and so it's a little bit like talking about light bulbs to a room full of Edisons already. We really respect that you have your expertise and you are the best experts on your relationship. So we looked at building a love that lasts. We looked at the importance of a really good, solid friendship being the basis of a strong relationship. We had a look at clear communication and letting conflict be a blessing, letting the communication be something that brings out the dreams that we each have. Like, that's the only reason we have conflict. It's the only reason that foxes come in the first place, is to give us something that we can put together into a vision about you, about me, and about us, about how we can be together, and basically what God's plan is for us, and what is the thing that will make us the best us we can be.
Absolutely. And it's all these simple things. So those 3 little activities that we talked about in each of those sections. So that friendship activity of I feel loved when, it's going to take you all of 5 minutes to do, and you're going to learn something beautiful about your partner. That communication activity of when this happens, I feel and I need, and then being able to paraphrase that back, that gives you these skills to really take care of communication. And then that vision activity of those overlapping circles, those rings, or that Venn diagram of what it is we want to achieve individually and together, that gives you a vision for the way forward. So those 3 little activities, they're going to be emailed out to you after this tonight as part of a little virtual party bag. So you're going to get those so that you can open them up and have a bit of a look and do them with your partner. Happy Valentine's Day. Enjoy that over a wine tomorrow night. The other part that's in that little package for you is a little free gift from us. So we work with couples predominantly, but sometimes they also need a little bit of support in between sessions. And so something we've developed is a really simple little 21-day email course. And so you sign up and you get a little prompt through your email each day for a very, very simple little activity to do. Usually takes less than 2 minutes to read, and it gives you something that you can do that helps build a more joyful relationship. So there's normally a little cost involved, but for you guys, it's just a free gift so that you can take what you've learned from tonight and keep going with your relationship over the next 21 days, 21 years, and well and truly beyond that as well. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for your focus. And back to you, Sam.
Thank you so much, Megan and Nahum. That was absolutely fantastic. I definitely found myself thinking about my own relationship at those times and pondering if there are any foxes that need to be caught. So thank you both so much. We're going to take a quick 2-minute break now. So if you need to fill up that wine glass, if you need to take a bathroom break, now is the time to do it. But just a reminder as well that after this break, we're going to be coming back together for some questions and answers. So if you do have a question, please do chuck it into that chat box, which is likely appearing on the right-hand corner of your screen or maybe down below. If you've got a question you'd like to ask Megan and Nahum, here's your chance. So please do write a question down. And as I said, we're going to take a couple of minutes to have a brief break, and then we'll be right back. Good stuff. and welcome back, everyone. Time to get into some Q&A. For those of you that have submitted a question, thank you so much. We've seen some fantastic questions coming through in that live chat box. And if you do have a question, if one comes into your mind as we get into some questions, please do type it into that live chat box. We would be grateful to receive it. But to get the ball rolling, Megan and Naam, I know that it's only been recently that the two of you have really come together to do Lighthouse full-time. So tell us, what is it like working full-time with your spouse?
Well, it's a great question, Sam. It was a real change of pace because we were both working in our own individual spheres, both in relationship education and couples therapy and psychology, but bringing it together a couple of years ago was really interesting. It's like uncovering a whole different part of your partner, which is a delight. But there are challenges that are involved as well. So we discovered we have quite different working styles. So Naam can see the big picture and can vision really well. And I can do like the nitty gritty and come up with the lists that work so I can tick everything off bit by bit. What about you? What do you think?
I agree wholeheartedly.
And that's how this works.
We saw, because like some of the couples that come to see us are people who have businesses together, and gradually the business has become their relationship, which is the real risk. And so I think by being really intentional from the start about carving out what is us time and what is business time, that's been a really big thing for me. And knowing we can, knowing when we have our staff meeting, that's when we bring up all the Lighthouse stuff, and knowing when we have a date night, that's when we're talking about us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So on the topic of us time, in the midst of the busyness of work and family looking after your two girls, how do you make sure that you have that regular time to spend with each other, that quality time?
It is so important. I just cannot stress to you how important it is. And it is also so hard, because everybody is so busy, and depending on the level of support that you have around you, your support network, it can be incredibly difficult to find time for just the two of you, especially when there are kids, or if you're looking after an elderly parent. Like, there are lots of different reasons why this can be a real challenge, but we had to choose to make it a priority. This is really important to us. And so we needed to do whatever it took to make sure that we had a date night. So we have a date night almost every Friday night. And we are incredibly lucky because we have got a little bit of support around us. So between my lovely parents, so our girls' grandparents, and between Naam's sister, they often help. But we've hired babysitters sometimes to come in and support us. Or we've set the girls up with a movie in another room so that we can sit together and have a meal together and a glass of wine and just talk about what's going on in.
Sometimes our girls will be like, "What are you doing on a date night? Why can't we come?" And we have to explain to them, well, like, Mummy and Daddy need to build a nest, so we have this warm, beautiful space for you to come into, because you want to be in a happy nest, don't you? And then we'll get them in the middle of us and we'll hug them. We'll go and probably tickle them as well, and explain, you love this, don't you? Like, this warm connection. Well, we need to deliberately build this. We need to make the nest. And for whatever reason, that makes sense to them. They're like, "Oh, okay, go on."
So whenever we say, it's like, "Okay, girls, it's time for a sleepover," or it's time, you're going to go off to Auntie Christina's for a couple of hours. Mummy and Daddy are off to build the nest. They're like, "Okay, great. That sounds fabulous," because they know we're doing it not just for us, we're actually doing it for them. Because if they can have really happy parents who feel connected and loved by one another, then they can really feel that themselves in their home and in their life. And so it's this beautiful thing that we absolutely prioritize.
Can be a real challenge for people who come from other countries and they don't have family around them. But we've known some really resourceful couples who will link up with other people in their community or whatever, and they'll trade off. Like, you have the kids tonight, and while we have our date night and whatever.
Absolutely.
It's hard though.
Look, it can be hard, but it's 100% worth.
Totally.
Excellent. Love that analogy of the nest. And talking about, the big help that family is, great question that we've had come through is, how important are the supports of family, friends, and community in sustaining strong marriages?
Oh, do you want to take this one?
Oh, the more resources you have, the better equipped you are. And having the support of people around you is one possible resource. But it may not be there for some people. that's not a game changer. That's not a game ender. There are ways to work things out. If you don't have supportive family, develop other resources.
Absolutely. It takes a village, and we hear that all the time with it takes a village to raise a child. And that's 100% true. It takes a village to raise happy parents who can help raise a child as well. And so if you don't have that village immediately around you, if for whatever reason you're far from family, and you know what, in the last couple of years, so many people are experiencing that, feeling really disconnected and isolated, then we create a village. And there are so many beautiful ways that we can do that with friends that we meet through school, with lovely people we've grown up with mothers groups or parents groups. We create the village so that when things get a bit hard, we've got someone to draw on, because we just can't do it by ourselves all the time. It's too much. It's too heavy.
I'm really blessed that I've got a couple of mates who I can meet up with every fortnight or so on a Sunday morning. And Megan is amazing, and that's the time she makes banana pancakes for the girls. And then on Sunday evenings,
every Sunday evening, I go off and I meet up with these beautiful women who we've just nicknamed the wise women. My daughter's called them that. And there's 8 of us, and we've been connecting every Sunday night for the past 14 years, actually. We pulled it all together after World Youth Day, and it's this beautiful opportunity. We drink tea and sometimes champagne, we pray together, and we just feel really connected. So we build that community where we need it.
And that's my chance to put the girls to bed and make their lunches for school the next day. But even when they were even when Leela was a little baby, I really encouraged Megan to go on her Sunday night, go away for a couple of hours and be with those women, because I know you come back just glowing, and that's really important.
Awesome. So another question, just looking at, I suppose, the other side of that. Some of us, I'm sure most of us, have got family or friends that are going through rough patches in their marriages. So if you are part of that community, you're one of the family or friends that's seeing this taking place in the marriage of someone that you care about, what are some practical ways to support that couple? And in particular, without taking sides, which is something obviously we'd want to avoid.
Yeah, look, that's such a great question. And I love that you said without taking sides just from the get-go, because first of all, there are the things that you want to avoid. You don't want to take sides. You don't actually want to exacerbate the problem by gossiping about them with other people in your support network. If you want to be there as a supporter, that's all you do. You support. And so you ask them, how can I help you? How can I love you right now? What is it that you need? That would be great. If there's nothing, and if they're going through a really tough time, you might just rock up with a hot chicken and let them know that dinner's there for them and that that's okay. And if they start talking to you and wanting you to be their counselor or wanting you to be their mediator, you need to know where the boundary is for your relationship there, because often we're not equipped to do that and to be that person, and there can be a lot for us to hold. So in that space, it's really important to say, gosh, I'm here to listen whenever you need it, and this sounds really tough. I think, though, it might be useful if you go and talk to someone who's really well trained in this area, so that they can give you some really good quality advice moving forward.
It's just like plumbing. I can help you if there's a leaking tap and a washer needs fixing. I can help you with that. But if it's something major, I got to call in a plumber. And I think something that can be helpful is not pressuring people or forcing them to do anything, but do float the idea. Look, do you need some extra help? Would it be a good idea to see a couples therapist? And I think, whether or not they take it up, I think normalizing it makes it okay for them. It's an okay choice. I think during the pandemic, one thing we've seen is it's become okay to see a mental health professional. And yeah, I think that individually that's become something that's in the mainstream now. People can, see an individual therapist. For a couple relationship, it can be really helpful to do couples therapy. And we kind of that's kind of the next thing to make normal, I think. And if people are looking for a couples therapist, they should go to someone who's trained in a method of couples therapy, something. And there are lots of different methods. There's emotion-focused couples therapy, imago therapy, Gottman method.
Yeah.
And so you're going to someone who has some capacity and ability in this area, not someone who typically works with individuals, because it's a really different dynamic.
It's a different skill set. Absolutely.
Yeah, I said a lot.
Fantastic answer, though. What about, in terms of repairing relationships? We've got a question here asking, how do you recover when there are past hurts? How do you stop bringing up problems or past hurts rather than, just leaving them in the past?
Yeah, that's such a good question. And it's something we see day to day, absolutely all the time in our office. So if it keeps coming up, if you keep wanting to talk about it, or you keep thinking about it, or it's these intrusive thoughts about it or worries about it, it means it's not dealt with. It's actually not finished. It hasn't been processed and it hasn't been resolved. So you can't just let it go and move on with life because it hasn't been resolved yet. It needs to go through and be processed first. So you might want to do that together really gently. If you're able to, depending on how big the rupture or the hurt is, you might be able to say, hey, can we catch a fox? Can we talk about this? And work through that process that we mentioned. When this happened, I felt what I really needed was, that's if it's something simple. If it's a really big experience, and we work with couples who are recovering from infidelity, couples who are recovering from trauma, couples where there's been really, really big experiences where they might have lost a child or where they have had an enormous event happen in their life where they've got to do a lot of processing, that actually involves having someone else who can help them do that. And there are specific interventions that we use in those moments. So there's one, it's a Gottman intervention, and it's called the aftermath. So it's the aftermath of a fight or a regrettable incident. And so it's a process that we walk couples through so that they can feel a sense of resolution and then they can start to rebuild.
Yeah, otherwise you're trying to walk around and you've got this big rock in your boot and you can't walk. Like it needs to come out.
Absolutely. So step one is getting on the same page with your partner about saying, hey, we've got this thing, don't we? There's this elephant in the room and I think we really need to talk about it. Should we try or should we go and get a bit of help? That's step one.
Fantastic. On the topic of talking things through, another question, if you are the insensitive one or perhaps the one with lower emotional intelligence in your relationship, how can you overcome this?
First of all, you're wonderful for recognizing that this is something you can grow in. So big pat on the back to whoever's question that was. Great question.
Yeah, love this question.
You can build your emotional intelligence, and it can be as simple as like there are just a few main emotions: mad, sad, bad, glad. If we're going really basic, or you could say there are 6 primary emotions if you're really going to town. But just noticing your own emotions and what you're feeling at a particular time and building your own emotional intelligence can be really helpful. And trying to get what your partner's going through emotionally, trying to then go, oh, hang on, so you're angry. Hang on, but I don't get why.
I worked with this lovely couple who are actually in Melbourne, and so they've been in and out of lockdown for a very long time over the last couple of years. And they, for the first time in many years, they'd been married for 28 years. For the first time in many years, they were in each other's pockets. And I was chatting with them and working with them via telehealth, like we're doing right now, really. And talking with the woman in this relationship, and she was saying, I just don't get it. Like, he's telling me how he feels. He's telling me all of this stuff. I just don't get it. And she's like, I need something to say in that moment. And so we kind of workshopped it together, and we ended up with this phrase of going, okay. And she would listen and try to catch everything that he was explaining. And then she would rephrase it and paraphrase it back to him. And then if he was like, no, you still haven't got it, the phrase that she would use is, I don't understand yet, but I really want to. So could you try again? And the number of times she would say in a session, I don't understand yet, but I want to, was just showing that even though she felt like she wasn't quite there, the desire and the intent to really be present to her partner and to try to understand the needs and the emotions that were there, it was just so evident. And so that broke down any walls that were there. And then she actually realized she was far more adept at this and far more emotionally intelligent than she realized.
What a beautiful story. I think we've got time for one last question. So just to wrap up, one that is near and dear to my heart as a young married man, how do you return to your love when you have a little baby?
It's hard. We love children, but they do ruin everything. Hang on. I mean, they do have an impact on everything. That's what I should say.
They have they bring color and joy and delight, and they also can really suck time
They're
and
resource
energy.
intensive.
Yeah, they're resource intensive. Yeah. And they're long term too.
Mm.
So yeah, I do remember getting to about the 6-week mark with our first little bub and just being like, whew, so there's no returns policy on this one, is there? Like, we're in this for the long haul.
Mhm.
Like, it takes so much out of you. What you need to do, I mean, first of all, survive. You got to start with that bottom of the Erickson pyramid there. You've got to really just make sure that we're taking care of all the people who need it. So especially in those first few weeks, obviously looking after bub, really look after mum. In those first few weeks, absolutely. Just with the basics, sleep and food and time, the things that we classify as self-care, which actually are not self-care, they're survival. Like, we make sure that we've got those survival needs met first. And then we stay connected as much as we can when it's possible. We don't try to put unrealistic expectations on ourselves. When our babes were little, we didn't have weekly date nights then. Oh my goodness, not at all. We would try to have a 5 or 15-minute chat, at the moment that our daughters went down before we crashed into bed. And even that felt like amazing connection. So you try to stay connected where you can and be as honest as you can about how you're going and what you're feeling, so that you don't get more and more isolated from your partner.
I think it's a really important time to express appreciation for each other. Like, first of all, how amazing that this person was created inside another person, and that, you had this alien kind of taking over your body for, that long. Like, there's like this amazing feat that, I couldn't do any of that. But just, expressing appreciation for even the really small things with one another and snatching the moments where you can. I think I remember a couple of times we just went for a little walk in the park and we had to turn back after like 10 minutes because we needed something from the house. But it was still a pretty good 10 minutes, trying to grab those moments. But it's a hard road. It's a hard time.
Yeah, it's tricky. But you just, stay connected, show appreciation where you can, and just trust that it gets better. It really does. Whoever asked that question, it really does get better. It'll be just fine.
Well, thank you so much, Megan and Naeem. And as we start to wrap up, just wanted to say another massive thank you to the Catholic Network of Marriage Educators and the Catholic Diocese of Hamilton for making this event a reality. And of course, thank you to all of you as well for joining us. We really hope that you and your marriage has gotten something out of tonight. And it is just such a privilege to have been able to spend the evening with you. You are the type of person, you are the type of couple that is taking that time to invest in your marriages. And that is a fantastic first step, and I'm sure you've gotten a few other fantastic steps tonight. On that note, just a reminder as well about the virtual goodie bag that Megan and Naeem have so generously provided for us. So that was the worksheet and the 21-day email course to build a stronger marriage. If you registered for this event, great news, that's going to be sent straight to the email address that you used to register. If you're someone who's joining us tonight and you haven't registered yet, don't worry, we don't want you to miss out. If you are wanting that virtual goodie bag, please just email events@cdh.org.nz. That's events@cdh.org.nz, and we will make sure that that gets sent to you as well. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Please be assured of our prayers for you and for your marriage, and please keep us and all of the couples that attended tonight and yours as well, because certainly in all of our marriages, we need grace. But God bless you all. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy your year and keep building a love that lasts. All right. Haere rā. See you later.